OpenAI's recent round of funding doesn't make any sense to me. Now take a look at this graph. In this graph, I'm comparing the market cap of OpenAI with other tech giants like Apple. Especially take a look at this particular column, revenue multiplier. This represents market cap divided by revenue. So in case of OpenAI, the figure is very abnormal. So if you look at other tech giants, it's roughly similar to each other. But in case of OpenAI, it's way too high. Now, based on this table at least, OpenAI's recent valuation does not make any sense. Now, in this video, I'm going to clearly lay out why OpenAI's hyper expansion process does not make any sense. I'm going to show you why the expansion process of OpenAI is not similar to that of Google or Meta, which burn through incredible amounts of cash in order to get market share. The process is completely different. I am going to clearly lay out why OpenAI's current burn rate is unsustainable over the long term. Also, I am going to objectively point out why AI is currently overhyped. The limitations of current LLM technology, I'm going to show you with examples. This is not going to be your typical OpenAI bashing video. I'm just going to quantitatively show you why OpenAI's current business model doesn't make any sense. Now, OpenAI has been unprofitable since day one, but this is not an unusual story for a tech startup. Now, OpenAI argues that as they get more users on their platform, as their models get better, so that the use cases increase, and as they build more AI infrastructure, which can position them as the primary AI services provider, as they plan to have the largest data center capacity, AI data center capacity, these problems will vanish. But there are two primary flaws to this argument, and I'm going to present it right now. The first flaw is that OpenAI is not unique in the services they're offering. What I mean is that Google was the search engine king, Facebook was the social media king, Oracle was the database king. But if you compare OpenAI with these tech startups, then you will get to realize that OpenAI has nothing unique to offer. Whatever OpenAI does, Anthropic can replicate them, or Gemini can replicate them, or DeepSeek can replicate them. If Gemini starts offering a better model, then all of OpenAI's customers will flock to Gemini. If Anthropic starts offering a better model at a lower cost, then all of OpenAI's customers will flock to them. So this problem is plaguing OpenAI. So they don't have any USP to make their customers stick to their service. Even though they might have been the first mover and they have gained incredible amounts of traction at an unprecedented pace during the initial stage, but as we are seeing that more models have come up, much better models have come up from Anthropic or Gemini, those service providers have gained incredible amounts of market share from OpenAI because there is no switching cost. Absolutely no switching cost for the services that OpenAI offers. There is nothing special about them. Now, this is the first issue. I'm going to talk about the second issue right now. OpenAI argues that their models will get significantly better as they build bigger AI models using the power of better or bigger AI data centers. But according to experts, higher training costs doesn't exactly correlate with better models. This is due to scaling laws. Now, you might have already noticed this. With each new model, the difference in the level of improvement gets smaller. Now, back in 2022, when ChatGPT was first released with GPT 3.5, it seemed like a breakthrough. But with each new release of their models like GPT-4 or GPT-4 Turbo, the difference in performance seems to be getting smaller. Even though the cost of training each new model seems to be just getting bigger. So OpenAI faces diminishing returns with the release of each new model.
So the future of AI is just bigger and bigger models forever, right? Well, recently there's been plenty of debate within the AI community about whether or not we've finally reached the limits of scaling laws. Some argued that As the latest generation of models have gotten bigger and more expensive, capabilities have started to plateau.
There's a lot of debate. In fact, just in the last multiple weeks, though, have we hit the wall with scaling laws?
The current generation of LLM models are roughly, few companies have converged at the top, but I think they're all working on our next versions too.
We're increasing GPUs at the same rate, but we're not getting the intelligence improvements at all.
Meanwhile, rumors have leaked out of major labs about failed training runs and diminishing returns. Others have speculated that the lack of high-quality data to train new models has also become a major bottleneck.
One practical issue we could have is we could run out of data. For various reasons, I think that's not going to happen. But if you look at it very, very naively, we're not that far from running out of data. And so it's like we just don't have the data to continue the scaling.
Now, even if OpenAI argues that over time, they will be able to find a technique which will be able to come up with an incredibly better model, which will result in lower training and inference cost and incredibly or exponentially higher performance, using cheaper GPUs from AMD or other chip makers. Even then, it doesn't make any sense. The reason is that if there's a better technique or a better model, or if GPU prices go down over time, then it doesn't benefit OpenAI. It benefits a new entrant. A new market player is going to start fresh without being bothered about the legacy costs that OpenAI has incurred over so many years, the legacy capex costs and the legacy opex costs. In fact, it will benefit the newcomer more than OpenAI. Since the newcomer doesn't have to deal with all these legacy costs, they can start fresh and offer services at a much lower price. On the other hand, OpenAI has to deal with all the sunk cost that has gone into building these AI data centers using expensive NVIDIA GPUs, the training costs that they have incurred over the years to train all these models, and also their operating expenses that they have incurred over all these years. From the user's point of view, I'll have no issue switching to the newcomer if I can get a similar service at a lower cost. OpenAI has already faced this issue with DeepSeek.
January 27th, 2025 may go down in history as DeepSeek Day.
DeepSeek shaking up global tech.
NVIDIA losing nearly $600 billion in market cap today alone.
In a few hours, the company broke its own record for the biggest single-day loss of market value in history. A handful of other US chip stocks, many trading at 30 times earnings or more, plummeted as well. They dragged down the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq 100. Even as companies pared some losses later in the week, DeepSeek had sent a message.
Now, I don't think AI is in a bubble, but I think OpenAI is in a bubble. OpenAI is currently fighting for its life. It's burning through billions of dollars every year. They don't have a product which can keep their customers in their platform, while their competitors like Gemini are constantly taking away market share. These guys are super desperate. We can see their desperation through products like Sora or their plans to introduce ads in ChatGPT. Companies like Google has the means to burn through billions of dollars in order to build more data centers and improve their models. But OpenAI, on the other hand, is absolutely struggling for its life. Their losses are accumulating and their investors will get nervous at some point in time. In terms of user acquisition, Gemini is catching up to OpenAI, even though OpenAI had a significant lead during the initial stages. Just to let you know, Alphabet, the parent company of Google, generates roughly $80 billion of free cash flow every year. So these guys can afford to pour more money into Gemini, offer more free services to acquire more users over time. In addition to this, a relationship with their most significant shareholder, Microsoft, isn't going as planned. Microsoft doesn't seem to have the initial confidence it had on OpenAI, so they're developing their own frontier model. Microsoft has reportedly grown cautious about OpenAI's spiraling costs and financial instability. OpenAI faces projected annual expenses of nearly $90 billion by late 2026. Now, Microsoft is already under severe pressure from their investors in order to show ROI from their AI investments. Also, OpenAI recently secured a massive $300 billion cloud deal with Oracle, signaling its intent to find independence from Microsoft Azure infrastructure. This effectively ended Microsoft's status as OpenAI's exclusive cloud partner. Also, we have to consider the hefty profit tax from NVIDIA. NVIDIA GPUs are sold to Microsoft, and Microsoft uses those GPUs to build AI data centers, and those AI data centers serve ChatGPT. So, obviously, a portion of the cost incurred by ChatGPT moves to NVIDIA. Whereas in case of Google, since they have their own processors, they don't face this issue. So they can reduce their costs in two ways. First of all, their TPUs are better for inference as they're specialized hardware, and it's 2 to 3 times cheaper. Plus, they don't have to pay the profit tax to Nvidia. Now, a key long-term factor to differentiate winners from losers is the inference cost. Now, inference cost is the cost that are incurred when you type something to make a query on ChatGPT or Gemini. Now, in order to reduce inference cost, Google has developed their own hardware called TPUs. These are very different from regular NVIDIA GPUs in ways that NVIDIA GPUs are serving general purpose. It can be used for AI, it can be used for gaming, but these TPUs are surgically built for inference. According to experts, these TPUs are at least 2 to 3 times cheaper than regular NVIDIA GPUs. So over time, Google's Geminis will be able to offer APIs and chat functions at a much lower cost than OpenAI's ChatGPT. Because the additional reason is, now here's the summary. OpenAI is getting majority of the revenue from consumer subscriptions. They are not profitable. Their valuation doesn't make any sense. Their product is unable to keep their customers on the platform, and their competitors are catching up to them. On top of all this, they seem to lose a lot of talents. And I'm not done yet. Their CEO doesn't have a very good reputation. Now, I don't think AI is in a bubble. I already mentioned it once. However, I cannot say the same for OpenAI. Their business model doesn't justify their valuation in any way. I mean, if I compare this with the valuations of Google during its early days, or the burn rate of Google during its early days, then Google had a future plan that over time they will be able to monetize all these users. But OpenAI doesn't have a clear path. They don't have a sticky product which can keep their customers on the platform. They're not good at any specific thing. Google with Gemini will be able to burn through a ton of cash over years, as they have diversified sources of revenue coming from YouTube, their ads, uh, search services, all of those stuff. They have a lot of sources for revenue, but OpenAI doesn't have that luxury. So over time, what I think is that OpenAI will over time, by over time I mean it's going to be a slow death. So over time, what's going to happen is OpenAI will not be able to sustain this level of spending, and they will be consumed by either Microsoft or Google, because only these two companies have the deep pockets in order to take OpenAI's huge amount of hole that they have created. If you like this video, then please subscribe. Also, check out my Substack page in the description for more in-depth analysis.